Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Deepak George, and today the topic that I'll be covering is of a great relevance if you talk a little bit into the future. So, the major area that I want to talk about is the compliance landscape that keeps evolving in UAE, and what is the impact that it is going to have on the small and medium businesses across UAE. The talk that I want to deliver today is broadly divided into four different sections. The first one starts off with what is the relevance of compliance in everyday business or small and medium businesses that operate. Secondly, we move on and take a very brief look into the history of compliance and how it has evolved in the UAE. We'll then move on to look at some areas that can help us. Say, for example, how does IT technology help businesses with compliance? How can it make the lives of everyone easier? Be it whether you are a business owner, whether you are an accountant, whether you are a CEO, CFO, or whoever. And finally, in case you are a business who's looking for some solution to be delivered or to be implemented to make your lives easier, what are the certain factors that you should always keep in mind before you choose a business automation solution, or if you are migrating from an existing solution to another? And just in case, if you are one of those businesses who has still not implemented any business automation software, what are the features that you should always look at before you go for a business automation software? With that being said, let's quickly move ahead to the first part, which is the role of compliance in everyday business. Now, many of us would like to think, why are so many changes being introduced over the years? Why has VAT suddenly come up? There is talk about something known as a federal corporate tax that will be soon implemented. What does all this have in common? So the first things first, statutory compliance always serves to be a very important source of revenue for the government, using which the government is able to undertake various social and economic projects for the entire betterment of the nation. Followed by that, there's a very close relationship that compliance shares with a business. As your business grows, if you are a growing business and as you venture into more and more markets, as you venture into getting more and more products under your distribution or sales and whatever you guys are into, the scope of compliance also increases. So a growing business also has something known as a growing compliance that is attached to it. Not only that, if you fail to comply to any of the statutory requirements or any of the compliance regulations, it is needless to say that there will be hefty fines that would also accompany. Apart from that, as businesses, it is always beneficial for us to comply to the laws and regulations because of not only the fines, but also keeping in mind that these regulations have been made or brought into effect to ensure that we are able to identify anything that is going wrong, or if there are any red flags, we'll be able to identify them very, very easy and early on as well. With that being said, let's take a look at a very quick slide. What is the history of compliance, or how has compliance evolved in UAE? This is not a very long chart, thankfully. So I'd like to take you guys back to all the way to just 2016, just a couple of years before. In 2016 was when everyone's heads started turning and everybody started taking compliance seriously. And that is because of one factor, which is the announcement of VAT. Back in 2016, we all got the news that UAE is planning to introduce VAT. So the announcement was made sometime back in 2016, and very soon, like we see that new projects are taken up and completed at the same pace. We saw that in October 2017 there was something known as excise tax that was introduced first on a certain set of products only. Since then, the net of excise has also increased. Very soon, from October 2017, fast forward to 2018 January, we saw the rollout of VAT in the country, and it was very seamless. I'm sure some of us had been around that time. We would have seen how easily businesses adapted to the introduction of VAT, thanks to the efforts of government and FTA as well. Fast forward again 1 year approximately, 2019 is when we saw something known as an ESR, which is Economic Substance Regulation, that was brought into effect. And early this year, starting of this year, we saw the announcement of federal corporate tax that has also been announced. And very soon, just approximately or even less than a year from now, we will be introduced to something known as the federal corporate tax that is supposed to go live from the 1st of July 2023. With that being said, I hope the chart is very clear. Once compliance starts, it is always in motion. It's an ever evolving subject. It's an ever evolving topic that continuously has coming up with updates and a lot of updates and updates. Now, let's move on to the third part of the session where we talk about um, the partners that we have when it comes to helping us to comply to the local laws and regulations. First and foremost, to understand, COVID-19 had also brought in or ushered in an era of digital transformation. Many of us who were simply doing an offline business had to suddenly or were forced to adopt to a digital way of doing business. Me, for one, was always for going to the office. I never had previously supported something known as the work from home policy. But with COVID-19, all that had to change. The entire mindset, not just of mine, but of many people across the globe, I'm sure, would have changed since COVID had struck us. We learned to do business in a new normal way. We learned to work from home. We learned to collaborate with teams that were all over the world or spread all across. All this was again helped with the fantastic advancements that had happened in the IT, information technology sphere. So now I'm here to talk about a little bit about how can IT be your trusted partner when it comes to compliance and ensuring that we have a smooth and flawless journey. To start off with, it is always important for us to remember that the statutory laws are always evolving. To give a very simple example, when VAT was first introduced, it was just one announcement that had come, followed by a couple of public declarations and clarifications. Same things with excise. Excise started off with it being applied on tobacco and certain other products. Gradually, that net has increased to incorporate sugared, products that have sugar and things like that. So I believe this is very well established that once the compliance comes, it always keeps evolving. And we as businesses have to make sure that we are continuously complying to the laws that are changing. Because ignorance of the law is not an excuse that is always tolerated by the authorities. And in order to do that, there not only do we take assistance from a lot of management consultants, chartered accountants, and people, but also there's an easier person that we can always turn to: the information technology or the IT systems that we have implemented at our businesses. Say, for example, a good accounting software or an ERP package that you have already implemented at your business premises. So if you choose the right technology partner in your journey, the software will make sure that they are always updating themselves with the latest laws, thereby helping you to comply much easily with the regulations that are in place. Thirdly, IT will also play a very important role when it comes to audit logs and ensuring that there is enough authentication, by ensuring that your financial data is accessible only to the right set of people who are authorized to access it, even though they are working in your organization. It can keep track of all the changes that any person has made and also protect you from malpractices or somebody trying to tamper with your books of accounts as well. With that being said, it is also important to know that with corporate tax soon being implemented, all the businesses that will fall under the purview are required or mandated more or less to ensure that they register for it. And even if in case they are not liable to pay any corporate tax, they should still file something known as a return. Like currently businesses are filing something known as VAT 201 return when it comes to VAT. Same thing, as we await more information about corporate tax, we are anticipating that there will be something known as a return filing that businesses will have to do. So all this can be made easy by the right technology partner that you choose. So now the biggest question arises in everyone's mind. What is next? What do I do next? Okay. So I have roughly around 11 to 12 months more before corporate tax comes, or as a business, what factors should I keep in mind when I choose any technical software, or what are the things that I can make changes in my current organization? So I would like to sum it up in 6 simple checkpoints. The first and foremost thing being bookkeeping as per accepted accounting standards. So gone are the days wherein we used to do bookkeeping on a piece of paper or even MS Excel or something like that, or on any legacy system. Now is the time to move ahead, get get into the groove, and ensure that we are maintaining the books of accounts as per generally accepted accounting standards. The second thing is you need to properly classify your chart of accounts. Now, the chart of accounts is nothing but the backbone of your business. Essentially, is responsible to ensure proper MIS reporting and things like that. If there is any mistakes there, now is the time to go back to the drawing board, get them corrected, and be prepared. Third is, in case you do not undertake an annual audit, I would highly urge you to take up something known as an annual audit. Get somebody to do it for you, because you will be able to realize the benefits of it. And since there's a third party who is looking at it from a neutral point of view, a lot of insights would definitely come. And then if your accounts departments do not have standard operating procedures, now is the time to implement something known as a standard operating procedures, and not do it on a case to case basis. Fourth, it is also a wise decision to look at tax planning, which is nothing but financial year change, because corporate tax is going to come from 1st of July. If your financial year ending does not match, look at the possibility if you would like to change the financial year or continue with the same. If you continue with the same, what are the transactions that would come under the net of corporate tax as well. And last and finally, also look at the possibility if you can go ahead and increase your profit margin to factor for the corporate tax, which is an additional 9% that will be on your profits. Now, before I kind of close the session, if you're looking for a solution, what are the areas that you should ideally look at? One, you should always look at a solution that is simple to use and has a very simple user interface. Second, it is able to manage a myriad of tax requirements. Whatever changes are implemented, those changes should be handled by the software. It should obviously be able to support multi-currency and also has multilingual capabilities. And very importantly, it should be accredited by the Federal Tax Authority, which is a nodal taxation agency. And also it should have local talent that is available. In case one of your employee abruptly leaves, you should not be faced with a situation wherein you don't have anybody to access the software. And importantly, the software and their representatives should be there in the region to assist you in case of anything that goes wrong. Now, I'd like to close my session out with a very brief, topics or certain areas that how business automation will help small and medium businesses. The first and foremost thing being, it obviously helps you to get organized and saves you a lot of time, and it minimizes a lot of human errors that are usually done due to human intervention as well. So a software that is well designed will be able to prevent, detect, and even suggest you corrections that you have to make on your data that you have already entered, and save you a lot of fines as well. Third thing obviously is it simplifies your statutory reporting requirements as well, and it also makes sure that you have an error-free return and you always comply to the deadlines without ever having to rush through. A good software is not just one that allows you for a fast data entry or it is able to provide an invoice, but it should also be able to help you to make much more informed decision in form of helping you understand your business health, areas that require your attention, and areas where something is going wrong. So it should essentially be throwing up red flags on its own to help you take a look at it and correct and take action as well. With business automation also comes reduced paperwork. You save a lot. You save a ton of paper. Not only you save a ton of paper, but also you start saving a ton of money as well. from the printing and stationery requirements. Remote working capabilities as such is very much required. As I said, you never know when you have to work remotely again or your team needs to work again. And last and finally, your financial data is much more secure with authentication levels and audit logs and things like that. So I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe, stay compliant.